A lot of people are talking about this year's NBA awards like, oh, what a tight MVP race, what a tight Rookie of the Year race. I don't see it like that. I think there's a clear MVP. I think there is a clear Rookie of the Year. And if you think otherwise, I just think you weren't paying attention. But let's start with Sixth Man of the Year. Let's just get how it's Keldon Johnson or it's Jaime Jaquez. Keldon Johnson was more efficient. He rebounded the basketball more. The Spurs were better than the Heat. Give it to Keldon Johnson. I don't give a fuck. Can Lou Williams get the award? Can we just give it to Lou Williams every year? Is he even solely? I don't think he is. He retired. Shout out Lou. Coach of the year is Joe Mazzulla. I don't know how Joe Mazzulla isn't the coach of the year. And I understand Bickerstaff did a really, really good job with that Detroit Pistons team, but anybody with eyes could see that Detroit Pistons team was ascending and they were going to be a real problem, especially with the way Cade Cunningham was playing last year. And obviously he was only going to get better. The dude's a dog. Same thing with Jalen Duren. Same thing with Asar Thompson. They were a really, really impressive basketball team, but I think it was expected. It was expected that the Pistons were going to take another step up from when they were the 6th seed in the playoffs last year. And they gave the Knicks a pretty good run for their money, although this year I think it was like 5 was a gentleman's sweeper. I think they swept them either way. It was a lot of competitive games, but then the Knicks would just take over in the fourth quarter because they had that playoff experience that the Pistons didn't have. But anybody with eyes knew that the Pistons were going to ascend this year. Nobody thought the Boston Celtics were going to be as good as they are this year without not just Jason Tatum, but they lost Drew Holiday, they lost Kristaps Porzingis, they lost Al Horford. That was a core of a championship team. That was like core role players in that dominant championship team. Not only did they just not have Jason Tatum at the start of the year for the first 5-6 months of the season, but they were also losing a bunch of core pieces, and they had to rely on these next level of guys to fill those shoes. And Joe Mazzulla got the best out of every single one of them. Jaylen Brown had the best season of his career. The Boston Celtics had the best defense in the NBA. The Boston Celtics had the best bench in the NBA. There was not a single team that scored more points off the bench than the Boston Celtics. That is a replication of good coaching. It didn't matter. It was Jordan Walsh would come in and give them really, really good minutes. Peyton Pritchard was one of the most volatile players in the league, but they just had Neemias Queta. That guy was awesome as a 5 for them this year. Like they had just so many guys that came out of absolute nowhere. That is a sign of good coaching. So I understand Bickerstaff, and the Pistons had a tremendous year, but I feel like at least me, I knew the Pistons were going to be good. Anybody that watched them last year knew that this team was heading in the right direction. Nobody thought the Celtics would be this good. And they're not going to meet a number one. You're not going to meet a bigger Boston sports fan hater than this guy right here. Joe Mazzulla deserves coach of the year. I think he was the best coach in the NBA this season. Give it to Mazzulla, West Virginia alumni. Most improved player. It's got to be Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I mean, the dude was unbelievable. He went from a career high 8 points per game. Oh no, I messed it up. He went from a career high, was it like 12 points per game to 20 points per game. He had an increase from his, how do I word this? Let me get a water break. Fucking brain. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is hands down the most improved player this year. I don't think there's a debate. Jalen Duren, had a good run. He had a good season, but he was pretty good last year too. He obviously got a little bit better, but the gap from where Jalen Duren was last year and where Jalen Duren is today is nowhere near the gap from where Nickeil Alexander-Walker was last year to where he was today. You take this season and then put it up with his career high in points per game before this season. It's an increase of 8 points per game, and he was more efficient this season than he was in any season in his career on almost double the usage rate. In terms of field goal percentage, what was his highest usage rate ever, and it's not even close. He had his most efficient season. He averaged 10 shots per game in 2021 and 2022. That was the most shots per game he averaged. This year, he averaged 15 shots per game with the Atlanta Hawks. He averaged damn near 24 over the last 2 months of the season. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, hands down, the most improved player this season, and we know what he is defensively, and he's an absolute vice. So shout out Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And Jalen Duren had a terrific year, but if Jalen Duren where he was last year compared to this year, that gap is only half. Not even. I think it might not even be half of the gap between where Nickeil Alexander-Walker was a year ago to where he is today. What a season for Nickeil. It really came out of nowhere. It's rare you see somebody burst onto the scene at this rate that they did. And I think the Hawks are a very, very dangerous matchup for this Knicks team. I really do. 39% from three as well, second highest clip of his career. So yeah, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the most improved player, in my opinion. The rookie of the year is Cooper Flagg. I'm tired of pretending it's not. I mean, he's better statistically in basically every single statistic besides 3-point shooting. And he is just a way better player if you use the game with your eyes. He passes the eye test. He passes the efficiency test. He plays a better defender, better rebounder, better passer. And it's just, he wasn't on a better team because the Mavericks stunk. I mean, the second best player on the Mavericks was PJ Washington. That's dreadful. That is just dreadful. So yes, Cooper Flagg is better than Kon Knueppel. I don't know how you could think otherwise. No disrespect to Kon, but not only was Kon in a really, really advantageous system for the type of ball that he likes to play, where he's gonna get a lot of shots up. He is an absolute sniper, and I don't want to just limit Kon Knueppel to he's just a 3-point shooter because he's not. He's a way more versatile player than just a perimeter shooter. He's a really good defender. He can pass. He can drive, but it's just Cooper Flagg is a way more well-rounded talent. So rookie of the year to me is not a debate. It's easily Cooper Flagg. I mean, he damn near averaged 25 points per game from December and on. He averaged more points, more assists. He was more efficient. He just doesn't shoot the three as well as Kon Knueppel did. And he didn't put up as many threes as Kon Knueppel did. Not that he would ever in any season, but it's just the system Kon was in was very beneficial, or was a really good fit schematically to the type of player Kon is for him to put up the most threes ever made by a rookie. But Cooper Flagg is better statistically, and he passes the eye test way better than Kon does. He's a better defender, better passer, better rebounder, better pure scorer at all three levels. Cooper Flagg's easily the rookie of the year. I don't know why this is even a debate, quite frankly. And Kon is nasty, and Kon is a sniper. No disrespect to Kon, it's just Cooper Flagg's better. He was just on a team with PJ Washington as the second best player. Najee Marshall. Gabe Vincent. What are we doing? Like, yes, Cooper Flagg's better than Kon Knueppel. He had a better rookie season than Kon Knueppel. He was a better basketball player this season than Kon Knueppel was. Defensive player of the year is Victor fucking Wembanyama, and he might be the greatest defensive player of all time. It's crazy to me that nobody's been a unanimous defensive player of the year. If Victor Wembanyama isn't unanimous, it's got to be because he's French. That's got to be the only reason. I don't know how you could possibly vote anybody else to be the defensive player of the year this season. I think he's the greatest defender I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, he covers from the baseline to the free throw line. It's actually unbelievable, and it is not fair. And usually guys with that size, there's not a lot of them that come in the league, but they lack the athleticism and the lateral movement and the stop and go. Wemby doesn't lack any of that. He is really an alien, and he covers so much ground so fast. You think you have him beat. Well, too bad he has a 14-foot wingspan. Good luck and good night. He is the greatest defensive player I have ever seen, albeit I'm only 23 years old, so I didn't quite get to see the glove. But I mean, come on, what are we talking about here? It's Wemby, bro. He's the greatest defensive player I've ever seen. He should be unanimous defensive player of the year for the next 5 years, 10 years, next decade. If he's not getting injured, he should have the most defensive player of the years when it's all said and done. And the MVP is so obviously Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The debate is between him and Nikola Jokic. I don't think it's between him and Wemby. Nikola Jokic and Shai impact winning directly way more than Victor Wembanyama does. No disrespect to Wemby because he is a dog and defense is 50% of the game, but he's not there yet. He's not on SGA's level yet. He's not on Jokic's level yet. He can shut me up in this playoff run really easily, but the Spurs also have a really, really good supporting cast. Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, likely sixth man of the year in Keldon Johnson. So they have a really, really good supporting cast. Not that the Spurs, or not that the Thunder and the Nuggets don't, but the Thunder supporting cast was without J-Dub for a really good portion of the year. AJ Mitchell is a dog. Chet Holmgren did ascend this year. They have some good players, obviously. They're one of the best defenses in the league as well. And Jamal Murray elevated his game. He was one of the most clutch players in the league this year besides Mr. SGA. And obviously, Aaron Gordon being hurt for a good portion of the year just nuked the Nuggets team defensively. I saw something like their defensive rating is top 5 when Aaron Gordon's on the floor. It's like the worst out of any team in the playoffs without him on the floor. So that does, like, they did deal with more injuries, the Thunder and the Nuggets did. And the Thunder especially were still the best team in the NBA, even though Jalen Williams only played like 35-40% of the games. And what it boils down to for me between SGA and Jokic is the efficiency. SGA had the most efficient true shooting season out of any season where players averaged more than 30 points per game. SGA was the most clutch player in the NBA this season, and it wasn't relatively close. SGA was the best player on the best team, was the most clutch player on the best team, and was the most efficient scorer the league has ever seen in 2025, 2026. All on the team with the best record in the NBA. SGA deserves the MVP. He's the most valuable player this year, and they did it without J-Dub playing 50% of the games. So no disrespect to Jokic, who also is not as good of a defensive player that SGA is either. But either way, no disrespect to Jokic, who he has a case for best player in the world. I think it's 1A, 1B at this point with Wemby creeping in there. But SGA deserves the MVP. He deserves the MVP. And Jokic, I understand he's more efficient technically, like as his field goal percentage is higher, but he plays around the basket. The fact that it's as close as it is, and Jokic plays around the basket, and SGA is a pure jump, not a pure jump shooter, but like it's ridiculous how efficient SGA was this year. I don't buy into the whole foul bait, foul merchant. Everybody loves to scream free throw merchant to SGA, but nobody wants to talk about how Luka Doncic gets to the line more than SGA does, shoots more free throws per game than SGA does. He just doesn't make as many because SGA has a higher free throw percentage. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to call Luka Mr. Free Throw Merchant. It's just SGA, unethical. Shut up. SGA has been the best, most clutch, most impactful player to winning this season in the NBA, in my opinion. And you could argue Jokic, I understand that, but it comes down to the clutch buckets for me. Comes down to the clutch buckets. And who are the Nuggets going to in the clutch? A little bit more Jamal Murray than Jokic. I'm just saying. And notice that's not a diss on Jokic. Jamal Murray's having a terrific season. And I think Jamal Murray was a better number 2 scoring option for the Nuggets than Chet was. And J-Dub wasn't around all year. So I think SGA is the MVP. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with anything on this list. Keep in mind, I'm not the most locked in NBA fan. Like, it's probably my 4th sport of knowledge, if you want to, or 4th league of knowledge behind NFL, college football, NBA, or NCAA, or college basketball, and then NBA. So keep that in mind. I might have missed a few things. If I did, let me know. Call me a clown in the comments. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe.